And welcome back to Honda Scouting Grounds. I'm Julian Time Card, joined by my trusty sidekick, Alberto Crumbs Rengifo. Champ Select's coming up, Crumbs, because we get our final best of 3 for Scouting Grounds 2020 coming right up.
Hey, basically, that's right. We're back together, and this time around, though, we do have some pretty impressive talent, though. Team Infernal is still undefeated in Scouting Grounds, so the fact that the team has done so well is obviously exciting for a lot of the prospective teams that are looking at the draft after this series is over. But just like last year, even if you didn't win a single game as a team, even if you had a terrible performance, teams know that that doesn't indicate your entire skill set. You can still be picked up despite the performance at Scouting Grounds. So I really want to see individual players standing out more than anything else.
Yeah, absolutely. As a reminder, like, the teams have been playing games a week. They've been working with the different coaching staff that was supplied by the different teams that were put together in pods, basically, to like draft and then coach these teams throughout the week. So you've had a lot of time, a lot of conversations to showcase your talent. This is just kind of like a bigger public showing of what that is. And Infernal, certainly as a team, have played very well together, being the first team to ever go undefeated at this event. So we'll see what happens here. Should be a pretty close best of 3 between these two sides. On Leona, Nidalee, Jin, and Samira all banned away. Samira has basically been banned every game but a couple, and the handful that she has been unbanned. Shoyu has gone off with her, so not surprised to see that one on the red side. Probably going to be a perma ban throughout the day. We'll see what the final ban is here for Ocean, though. Shoyu has been looking pretty good, so 2 ADs make it 3 ADs. As Lucian going to get banned away as well.
Okay, I mean, so many times we are seeing priority over the junglers, of course. Nidalee being banned out, the other AP you have is Lilia, and so now the rest of the team can just pick physical damage around her, and it's really impressive for me to see how Tomio has had a really wide champion pool. I think him and NXI have been 2 of the most impressive junglers here, yet the big difference is Tomio's champion pool is an Ocean at the moment, whereas NXI has been sticking a lot more to the Graves, being a lot more consistent with what he's drafting around, so that might be that the rest of Ocean feels more comfortable playing AP champions, whereas Tomio has the opportunity to give us a SOFM special and try some Rengars here and there if the team can bust out lanes that work with it. Because you have got players like Tony Top that are blinding Jax and getting away with it pastry. That doesn't happen anywhere else.
That is definitely a Tony Top kind of thing to do. We'll certainly see what happens in the top lane matchup later on. Ezreal here, the pick though, for sure. You very stable AD, one that he's very proficient on. Shady also been extremely impressive. Support in general actually has been really stacked this year at Scouting Grounds, so it's been nice to see both Shady and Joey looking good. Shady especially has looked great alongside Infernal. Is going to be taking the Rakan in this go-round, and Lulu perhaps, as is locked in for Ocean.
That's a cool grab. Lulu and Ashe have really nice synergy with the Focus Fire as well as the Ardent Sensor. Ton of damage there, and Tony Top is going to have the Jackson. Amazing to see a band on red side here, not giving Rodolph the opportunity to counter it, even though there's plenty of champions that would do well against them. And we were talking about Shady. I love the story of him and players like him that had former stints in the LCS but have stuck around, maybe dipped into academy, maybe even into the amateur scene, but have always remained a steady force. You can tell that they want to participate in the LCS. They want to go pro. They want to make it big. And the fact that now the scouting changes have happened and you can have players be involved in an LCS team in 3 tiers of competition is really exciting for a player like that, because you can guarantee yourself always being in the limelight of one of these organizations, and then you can make it into the LCS, so that the fact that maybe the scouting wasn't that good can go out the window. You're already in the team without having to participate in Academy or LCS.
Yeah, it's interesting. Shady's career is actually like kind of gone in reverse, right? Like, he started in the LCS and now he's played all the way down, now looking to play his way back up towards, you know, those upper tiers of play. And I think a player that has said, you know, rightly, that he was judged, you know, too early in his career and was not really ready when he was an LCS player, just kind of put into a spot, needed to perform, didn't do all that well, but like the perception has always been that, oh, he wasn't that good, where, you know, he's now had years to grind away and certainly is still a contender for Academy, if not LCS. So it's nice to see him back and performing well. Did see Yuumi for a second there. I suppose this Lulu is a flex. Joey does love his enchanters, so can play Lulu. It does love Yuumi as well. But it is going to be Orianna here for Yunbi. Certainly a player that sticks to the script as far as mid laners go, but both Copy and Yunbi have been excellent mid laners so far. It's actually a really exciting mid lane matchup. In fact, I think we talk about jungle mid so much as being an important duo in League of Legends. I think this is probably the best jungle mid matchup we could have asked for across these 4 teams. So definitely keep an eye out on those 4 players in the center of your map. As Camille will be picked up here for Tony, it is going to be blind unless Lulu is going to be up towards that top side. But of course, with the flexibility Ocean have, Tony can't know that. And there's Zoe last pick there for Copy. Nice and stable into Orianna.
And that mid 2v2 that you're talking about is actually something that is more interesting for me to see than the straight 5v5. These are just 5 players put together in a team a few days ago, so to expect something out of that synergy to develop without a consistent coaching philosophy behind it is too much to ask for. Whereas something like developing that individual synergy in a 2v2 that can just happen player to player can show the coaches just how versatile the players can be when it comes to working together with somebody new very quickly. So seeing how the mid 2v2 can improve is a better sign, in my opinion, for what a coach wants to see than seeing how a player can fit in the entire 5v5 scheme.
Yeah, for sure. Again, kind of the other thing that's interesting about this kind of event is that even though we've shown off more games this year, we actually had, I think, every single game of the week broadcast on different channels. And then, of course, we had, traditional, 3rd, 4th place match and finals today as well. We don't get to see what the conversations these players are having with their teammates and with, the coaching staff that's working with them. We don't get to hear the in-game comms, right? How are these players communicating? What are the things they're saying between games or in the draft or in the game to kind of push things forward? And those are all things that, teams are looking for. I mean, Crumbs, you have plenty of experience in this area. It's definitely not just about how good your gameplay is. Intangibles have, I think, started to add up more and more as the player ecosystem has grown and gotten more advanced. So, even if you're not quite there yet as a player, which for a lot of the amateur and like Scattergrounds level players are, they're certainly almost expected to have some weaknesses. But if you can show the ability to grow and shore those things up quickly, and you have other things that are harder to teach, like your game sense is good, or your macro, or you're actually a very good teammate and communicator, which is surprisingly not the easiest thing to do in the world naturally. There's a lot that we can't see that appears outside of the gameplay that these teams are looking at as well.
And there is another intangible that we can see, but not right now, because like you were telling me, Pastry, this is the last tournament that we are doing on 10/22. We're going to have the entire item rework, the Season 11 coming after. So the coaches and teams that are drafting players here are drafting from a game that is about to change altogether, right? The itemization, the value that champions have in the meta is going to just get completely flipped altogether. So the way that they scout and look for how the players are playing right now can be completely different come Season 11, which makes it that much more interesting to see what the teams prioritize in the players.
Yeah, I'm sure they've been having some conversations in the week. It's like, hey, what do you think of these changes? Like, gauging how the players adapt, because that is certainly a big intangible that is important. Speaking of adaptation, I guess, just a hard segue to the Tony top here. I've seen this a couple times on his Jax, but an Omnistone gamer he is. He also has Teleport Ignite, so he is going for maximum individual, like, selfish pressure here in the top lane, which should be quite a lot of fun. He's actually invading here with Tomio right now, as he's going to go ahead and pick up them Raptors.
I believe we saw this from Bin, if I'm not mistaken, from Suning at Worlds, where the Omni Stone, which is RNG your laning phase. Already, you take it on the champions that you know you can have a decent matchup on, but if you get the right combination of keystones, you can actually just become incredibly oppressive in the laning phase. Starting with Comet on Camille can be a pretty valuable rune if you maybe start with your W, with that little sweep. That way you can actually do a little extra damage with it. So it all depends on how Tony plays around those keystones and the RNG that he gets. If it goes well, then you end up having just a completely menace in the top lane.
Yeah, I think definitely rewards your proficiency on a champion, right? Having to adapt to so many different runes. So definitely a cool thing to see. He's played it multiple times this event already, but it's fun to see it in this opening game. We'll see how he does against the Renekton right now. Looking for the hookshot. Doesn't quite land onto Rodolph, but already you can see just playing up in this lane, putting a lot of pressure alongside Tomio, who is also in the top area, but decides to back off after seeing that there was no gank to really happen.
This is a really exciting map right now because it is split. And so with new players being in a split map, you want to see how they play weak side. So the Renekton doesn't get to play aggressive. The Lilia is on his side of the map, and the Graves is down here. And so on the flip side, you want to see a CS lead build up from the Ashe and Lulu. They are both range. They can harass and have the jungler on this side. So Ocean's bottom lane needs to get ahead, whether it's CS, plate damage, but definitely not dying, harassing, and making sure that they can whittle down their opponents. Whereas top, well, Renekton's just going to have to accept that Camille is going to get out of the laning phase. And seeing players perform this initial stage is a really big deal that coaches look for. You want to know that your player doesn't run it down when he is assigned the weak side of the map.
Yeah, Dark Harvest as well, so see if Tony can get a proc out of that. Is a little tricky at times, depending on when you roll it, but not a bad spot for the rune, as NXI has basically been vertically jungling alongside Tomio, which started off from that early level 1 invade for the Raptors, so it's going to be left side Scuttlecrab taken here for Tomio. Going back to the Wolves now for NXI as both junglers looking to power bomb. In fact, Tomio or Graves have not gone back since that first clear, and Tomio's got these Raptors cycling now, as he's going to be very quick towards level 6.
Wow, that's already the second rotation of it. He's cruising over this Graves. Being able to start on the enemy side of the map just buys you so much time, as opposed to Graves that has to just walk to the other side first. And this is what Lilias like to do. They like to obviously try to power farm, and it's always on the lanes to make sure that they don't die or don't start playing too aggressive while she's getting her farm lead. And this is why the champion gets first pick so much. Nobody plays around Raptors better than Lilia, and her movement speed is so annoying. I still can't get over the fact that this champion can just prance around and make every other jungler look like a complete buffoon in terms of mobility.
It does have like a Teemo-esque quality to it.
Yeah,
it's like so frustrating to play against. Consequently, very fun to play if you're the one piloting the champion. As Coffee gets a good bit of chunk there onto Yumbi. Also saw NXI check in with the top lane because the lane was pushing away from Rodov, but Tomio was actually hanging out in that brush. Did manage to spot the Graves and give Tony the heads up that he needed to get out of there. As we check in with the bottom lane, actually nice and close on CS here. And Shady has been doing a great job getting poked down in onto Joey. If he had Ignite instead of his heal, it's much more defensive for both of these supports here. In the bottom lane, we might have actually seen a 2v2 kill, but as it stands, it's just some nice casual farming across the board, and everyone looking pretty even so far.
If you saw how Joey was playing that laning phase, you'd always go for the knock-up onto the Lulu every single time, just because if you can actually catch the Lulu in that range, there's a good chance that the Lulu might auto you right as you go in, and if you can catch her in the turret range, you can get yourself a kill right there. So just fishing for the opportunity. If Lulu doesn't do that, then it's fine, but you have to make sure that you're always thinking about what you could potentially get from your opponent's actions.
Yeah, I feel like Tomio is like speedrunning this level 6, by the way. Already 5 after he took away, I believe, the Grump as well out of the jungle. So Team Ocean are just going to respond by looking to take down this Mountain Drake. Should be a nice, easy one for them to get, with plenty of bot pressure and some mid-push to be able to secure that. So nice and easy. Not a bad first Drake, but pretty early as well. So Ocean will have the opportunity to maybe snowball for a soul if they can grab the next one.
Third rotation of the Scuttle, and back to the top lane, we've got Shady here. This is actually going to hurt NXI quite a bit. He's taken an approach to help the team out here, taking that dragon, because Lilia has just been power farming the whole time. 12 CS lead already. That's 3 camps. It's going to start to ramp up. I don't think NXI has seen his Raptor camps this whole time. And with Camille being able to get her item steady, Renekton's going to have to play more cautiously. That's going to just allow the Centaur, is that what she is? Is Centaur like a Hecarim? I think she is. Anyways, yeah, it'll allow her to go back to the Raptor camp.
Certainly will. It's Tony top now with the Comet. Finally rolls a good one, but actually been doing just fine with a bunch of different runes. He's up 2 waves, actually, although it is pushing back, I believe, as Tony's trying to hold it frozen near his tower for a little while longer and try and deny off some of that CS from Rodov. He's doing just fine on the Renekton. That dragon, as we mentioned, did go over to Ocean, so they'll look to play for the Infernal coming up in just under 4 minutes, and early back's already finished for the mid laners. Sork Shoes versus Tier, so Yumbi going for much more scaling, Copy wanting power much earlier.
That Sork Shoes could be really helpful in catching out someone like a Graves, because junglers keep bouncing around different camps of the map, switching sides still 7 minutes in. if Lilia finds Graves, sleep into bubble is basically death. I think that's what they want to do with this combo. A long-range support in the mid 2v2, and once the magic resistance and QSS itemizations come out much later, then yeah, it falls apart. But in the beginning of the game, if Lilia gets to do what she's been doing this far, the Zoe burst at this stage can be really devastating to somebody with base MR.
Yeah, Yumby though, just chugging through waves right now with this tier. Copy actually playing catch-up as he catches that one just before it hits the tower. Shoyu continuing to get pressured here in the 2v2, but keeping it nice and close here. Shady continuing to throw poke at Joey, wanting to make sure that they can at least contest for this farm, and a knockout completely shoved in for the entirety of the landing phase, which has actually been pretty good given that they've only lost a single plate so far. As Tony getting a wave built up, he's actually getting a kind of out of hand now as far as CS leads go. I think that freeze lasted a little too long for Rodolph without being broken, because with a huge wave still to crash, Tony's going to be up 30 CS before Rodolph can finish off what it looks like 2 waves or so.
Yeah, that is out of hand indeed for this Camille, and the topside play from Infernal has just been solid. They're getting slow advantages, their bottom lane is surviving, they're not bleeding out too much. You would have expected them to lose against the Lulu Ashe, but thus far, you want to see composure out of this team, because the teams are just drafting tools that give them advantages, and then they want to see what the players can do with that. Right now, they've split the map, they're playing to the advantages topside, so they'll get some gold, but now we want to see what can they transition this gold from. This Herald use this early, most likely looking for plates. Where does Tomio prioritize giving gold to? I think it should be the top lane, just because of how brutal Tony Top's advantage is right now.
Oh, such a good flash for Copy. Arrow gonna miss as well though, and Copy just weasels his way out of there, and now it's NXI taking damage. Copy gonna poke him down, but Shady not quite ready with the follow-up, but still 2v4 in the mid lane, and it's an easy bit of survival there for the Zoe.
A nice sidestepping and movement with that tier 2 boots. Always love to see the purchase pay off right away, and at least Ocean is going to be able to group up together here. It's good to see them moving in as 2v2, and they need to double down on securing vision on the red side, because they started with the response to Lilia's farming with an early dragon. You need to continue getting those early dragons. It is no value to get an early Drake and then just let it stack there while your opponents continue to get CS leads.
Yeah, and top lane is just continuing to go from bad to worse here for Rodolph. The waves have equalized, and Tony's still 25 CS ahead of Rodolph. And remember, Camille has Ignite, so when it's just a 1v1, like, Renekton can't really do anything. Like, you're just going to lose any sort of straight 1v1 when all abilities are in play, even when you have Flash and your enemy doesn't, because they can't. And it does look like if Tomio wants to play a visit, there he is. He's going to drop the Herald here and make things even worse for Rodolph, I imagine.
Yeah, this is Renekton that is just watching everything.
It's the same level as the jungler.
Might be a little bit lower than the jungler fairly soon. This Lilia is just speed farming now. She is, what, about to hit level 9? It's the highest level in the game.
Yeah, it's funny. If you combine like Tomio and Tony's CS differences compared to the enemy jungler and top lane, it's like some large number that I can't do because maths is hard on air. But there's the Herald drop that we expected. That's going to give even more gold over to Tony that isn't reflected in the CS differential. And that's the first tower over very cleanly, and with 0 kills in this game, Crumbs. Infernal are up 2,500 gold with the Herald getting a second charge off. At least Ocean are going to pick up this second Drake.
Pastry, he also has a Cole that has yet to catch. He's going to get so far ahead out of this Renekton. Yeah, the second dragon, but this is the classic strategy of we don't give a damn about the early dragons. We want to make sure that we're strong before we start taking those fights. Maybe the third, maybe even the fourth. Hey, a team that got to finals played that way, where they were thinking just only about contesting the last one. And now with that giant CS lead, Tony's going to be in a really commanding position there, because the Camille against champions like Orianna and Ashe are just insta-kill. Press R, you get the kill right there. Surprised to see that Camille still not with an answer after seeing how dominant.
Trinity Force! His Trinity Force! At under 12 minutes, and Rodolph's just dead. See you later. First blood is going to be gifted over. Copy, steal it, it's yours. It's Tomio instead. He's going to grab it.
Renekton, I mean, I don't know what he's doing there. He is entirely overextended and the team is not getting anything. He purchased the TMF to try to answer back with how quickly and dominating Tony Top has been playing and pushing the wave, but it's just extending him, and there's no one that can help him. Why would anybody show up? Here's another fight, though. Shady
Good shockwave, but it's just not fair at all. It's a 2v3 right now, as actually the rest of Ocean come in to save the day. NXI snipes Copy with the ulti. He's going to get one back, and Tony Top, can he find revenge? He certainly should be able to, but the whimsy is great from Joey. There's the arrow riding in, and Tony Top will be slain. NXI lives, and Rodov now going to move himself down with the dash. Good stun there onto Shady, who pops over the wall, but he has to flash now as well to keep himself alive. Tomio now on the run as the rest of Ocean are chasing down those kills, but they'll take it 2 for 1 at the end of the day.
NXI was just barely out of range. Had the hook shot connected, he would have actually procced the aftershock and probably would have lived. That's the
He had aftershock?
Yeah, he had aftershock for that. So it would have been sick if he actually hit that. I think he would have gotten the kill and gotten out, but hey, good whimsy and good sidestepping from NXI there to make sure that you could put a stop to what this Camila is doing. Trying to push the wave, just sad times for Rhoda.
Yeah, good timing here from Copy and Tomio, and again, very easy pickup. Probably didn't need the Zoe, but you know, Copy showed up to participate, always nice. Get some assist gold as well. But then this happened, you know, felt like it was just going to be some chain ganks happening here from Infernal, but Ocean said not today.
They've got Shady coming up, and with the ward in the mid lane, they feel really confident here, but I want to see exactly what goes down with NXI, because he's the one that gets the kill onto the Zoe here with the ultimate. Really, at that HP, there's no way. Multiple spells at once, and then this, the hook shot. Ooh, so close.
He was aftershock too. Good eyes there, Crumbs. Tony Top just barely misses out on that kill. And then Rodov zooms in to try and pressure for another. Basically trying to get revenge for the fact that he just died in the top lane, which we did see actually at the top of that replay. So, you know,
2,000 gold up in the top lane.
Oh goodness, that's it. That's the whole gold lead in the game, basically. Wow, that's a lot. I can't think of a bigger individual gold lead I've seen this year. I'm sure there's been one, but that is monstrous for Tony Top here. Has just been dominating in the 1v1 so far. Thankfully for Ocean, everyone else is doing a-okay. And like we said, even though the gold lead right now for Infernal is pretty big, despite them being down a single kill, really this entire gold lead is currently resting on Tony. So if the Camille, you know, isn't available for a fight or gets herself picked off, the game is a lot easier for Ocean to win than the gold lead currently reflects.
And that's a great way for Ocean to think about playing the game right now, because you do have your Ocean Dragons, and you can think, okay, starting to stack those would be a good idea. We have to avoid the Camille. If you could take 4v4s, you'd be in a great spot. As long as Renekton is drawing away Camille, you are winning, because Infernal team is not able to use their advantage to get more gold. So Rodov's task right now is to keep Tony in the lane. How interesting and how juicy can he be as Renekton to say, hey, come here, try to dive me, try to push the turret, try to get the tier 2, because if you can get Camille to commit for the tier 2 instead of the dragon, you actually have a really good chance here as Ocean team, despite the potential split pushing becoming a real problem. Ocean Dragon or Ocean Soul is always a very valuable win condition.
Yep. Thankfully for Rodolphe, he will have an opportunity to catch up in CS, because Tony is leaving the top lane and trying to affect other areas of the map, as Tomio is going to go ahead and drop the Herald mid. Going to set up for this siege here. Herald should be able to get that charge off, so we'll do a pretty significant amount of damage here to this tower, but it is basically all for control of this dragon, because Infernal are looking to stop the Soul Snowball.
There's a Mikhail's Crucible on Joey. That could be really important here. But they're fighting for mid prio right before the dragon spawns, and there's nobody to solo it, so mid fight is where we're going.
Yumby, big spike as well, 20 CS ahead. He's got his Seraph's transformed. He's got an extra needlessly large rod as well. Yeon going to attempt the arrow, but it does go wide. So Infernal still sticking around as Tomio. Look at the top of your screen. That flank could be big, but the spin there from Tomio is going to make Yumby drowsy, but I believe the Mikhail's was popped. Indeed it was, to protect the champions. But Tony's still here on this flank. Infernal looking for this here copy, trying to get some poke happening. That's a sleepy Orianna, goes into the Seraph shield, now going to cleanse it off.
Tony's just waiting for the opportunity. I love that he hasn't committed yet. Ocean is still grouped up. They're winning this fight because they got so many ultimates.
No hookshot either. But Camille's going to have to wait. Doesn't have a flash, remember, so that's really the only mobility she has right now. Is Copy getting a little too low into stasis he goes. But there's Shady going to try and make it happen. And Xylo finds the snipe again onto the Zoe. Is Tony Top going to commit? Onto Yeon he goes, trying to pick up the AD carry, but it's a literal 1v5. And Yumby's going to snag that kill.
Not strong enough to 1v5 just yet, but the smoke screen there out of the Graves ended up being really valuable in allowing Ocean to continue to move forward despite the health disadvantage. And it was just a very difficult fight that I think we're just seeing now because the teams don't have tanks. This is a game that is actually quite difficult to execute in that. There's just nobody that can just walk up, press a button, and start the fight. We're going to see how exactly Copy ended up getting caught out here by himself. Yep, the classic. Dashing forward with the ultimate, the volley hits you, and then the rest of the team tries to collapse to catch back onto you, but it's the classic Zoe that gets punished. Everyone has seen Zoe enough to know that when she uses ultimate, return to where she showed up.
Yep. Also, again, I like the attempt from Tony, but that was the ultimatum where you're the only one from your team in there, and the rest of the enemy team is in there with you. So obviously not a fight you can realistically win. Tony, you're going to put Rodov to sleep here, but NXI ready to turn it back around. It's a 2v1 right now with just a support, and the jungle is very squishy. What an arrow from downtown as Rodov is going to pick off the Lilia.
What a snipe there. That's a really hard champion to hit as well. So that's a huge one there, straight from the mid lane, knowing that the retreat was going to come out from the Infernal jungler. And Ocean's putting up a pretty good fight here. They're now on soul point after winning that. And the Graves is really fed. The Camille did not get anywhere. I think the Renekton has basically returned back to quite relevant, and the Graves can now take over. He's so strong that he's going to be able to start power farming constantly. I really want to see what he does with this serrated Dirk. I hope it's the Ghost Blade. I'd really like to see him take the moment now to start power farming with that. Yep, it comes out. This is the time that Graves just puts the nitrous on and takes off.
Yeah, both junglers actually are very damage heavy with their early items, so both quite scary, but all the sins of the early game have been absolved, Crumbs, thanks to great team play out of Ocean. And you mentioned it before, like, this is a game where there's no tanks, so it can be quite volatile. Well, in a world of no tanks, Crumbs, Lulu tends to rule those games, because Joey can just turn anybody into a tank and keep them alive while CCing the damage dealers, as we've seen in earlier fights as well. So Ocean certainly positioned well, particularly with that soul coming up so quickly, 2 minutes 46 seconds, until they'll be able to fight for their first soul of this game.
Yeah,
but
so
there is still the Camille problem.
Yeah, it's so true. But I think you also pointed out to the solution, Joey. He can not only make somebody else a tank, protect him from Camille, but the Whimsy against someone that doesn't have Merc Treads at the moment can be really valuable. So Tony Top has to make sure that when he engages, Lulu has already used her spell rotation, because a Camille that is a tiny little cupcake in front of the team is eaten just as quickly.
That's true. All things are equal and they're turned into cupcakes. Even the mighty 6-stack Cho'Gath, just a cupcake at the end of the day. Scott Cripe going to go over to NXI. Mid outer going down as well gives Ocean so much space to fight for this this soul. So I don't really see how Infernal can easily get access to this dragon in 2 minutes' time. Just the amount of teamfight control they have between Orianna, Ashe, and Lulu, with like just the power of NXI. Honestly, he's enough at this point with the rest of the items that the team have to kind of take over. So we'll see. We'll find out in a minute 40 as we do have a pause. Find out what's that about in just a moment.
Maybe if the Ezreal can get the Trinity Force and Mirror Mana in maybe 45 seconds, you could get it. So 45, that way you can base a minute before the dragon shows up, because you need that much time to start poking away, hitting those Qs, stacking those Conqueror stacks, and fighting your way back into that river, because the zone control is going to be really annoying to deal with. The volleys with Orianna and no tanks, anybody that walks through that is just going to get half HP'd.
Yeah, we've seen that as well in a lot of the fights. Like, the last time they were positioning to fight for that dragon, there was just so much poke, like, when they were trying to get in and just clear vision out. It is very tricky to get into this team, which is kind of funny. That's usually the thing we say about the Zoe team, right? Where in the fog of war around an objective, Zoe is just so frustrating to push through, but they aren't able to really get that vision. You know, they've been kind of beaten to the punch for vision, I think at least in the last dragon fight, if not the one before then, if there even was a contest for it. And Ocean, again, like, for, you know, being a pickup team, basically, especially playing against the undefeated team up until this point. Very impressive showing of teamwork early on in this game, as we are going to jump ourselves back in.
Yeah, teamwork around objectives as well. They knew that the top was going to be a problem. Well, didn't matter. They had an advantage in the bottom lane. Mid lane was doing fine, so that could transition into dragons, and that early investment is about to take off. This is a really curious rotation there out of Infernal, moving towards the top side. They don't even have a strong Baron composition, so securing control over this area is probably going to hurt them when it comes to securing vision for this dragon fight. I can't imagine a world where they would just give this up without even trying to take the fight. So those control wards, that movement spent to the top side is now answered with movement in the bottom side from Ocean, and that's just going to allow them to set up the terrain better and hopefully dictate where the fight happens. And if you can do that, you usually win those fights.
All right, well, people are recalling, so it's time to get your final buys in before this soul fight happens. We've got Eon finishing that Hurricanes, and now 2 items on the Ashe. Tony Top's going back, finished up a Death Dance for himself, and Trinity Force is in fact done for Shoyu, as you predicted, Crumbs. So everyone's equipped, but as we mentioned, can't see Welder Infernal. Don't want to fight for this Yumby, though. Snuck in there. Tony Top going to get CC'd up, but Lulu ulti already expanded onto Yumby. Shady going to re-engage. There's a true shot barrage, and Yumby low, but Shady lower as Zeon's going to take him down with a few more arrows peppered in. Now Rodov just trying to play defensive linesman here as the rest of Infernal stream in, but nobody falls. Even though Yumby's got little health to work with, it is a 5v4 still for Infernal, but the re-engage coming in. There's the bubble in onto the Ashe. He's going to have to cleanse it off. And the dragon spawning, so Ocean have to stick around here. NXI also taking a big chunk as Copy continues to throw the poke in.
Oh, Ocean doesn't have a lot of ultimates. In fact, they used all of them, so Infernal feels confident that they can take the fight.
Yeah, they're going to have to keep poking here. Tomio again has his ulti ready to go, so they can put some people to sleep. There's Rodov going to get the stun in onto Tony Top, but he's just going to run interference, and I think Infernal have done enough poke here to get them off the objective. Tomio is going to keep the dragon aggro, so Infernal are trying to finish this off.
Oh, it might come down to a smite steal. The Graves is in the area. He's circling around. He wants it. He can give his life for this.
Oh, Copy. That's a really good pick if he can get it, but NXI is committing for the dragon. They do want the soul. Shoyu's going to take down Yumby. Dragon goes over. It's Renekton that grabs it. That's the soul over for the Ocean as they pick up the namesake. But Infernal are going to stream in for the ace. A costly dragon, but likely still worth it. We'll see what happens next.
Big yikes on them. They get Baron for that because everybody is alive. This team would have taken forever to get this objective, but now they get mid-tier 1 for it. Ocean just hard committed for that fight, and it was actually their own invade into the red jungle that ended up costing them that whole ordeal because they did so much to just kill Shady. They used 5 ultimates to take down the support, so when the time to fight Dragon came around, Infernal could take a 4v5. It's not a big deal. There's no ultimates anymore.
Yeah, and there is the Baron, like you said, picked up nice and easily for Infernal off the back of a massive fight around the dragon. So I did say that Ocean got the soul. Might feel worth it. Well, perhaps I was wrong as we'll watch this one again. Such a good thing here for Infernal to stick around as long as they did, just knowing they had the poke advantage.
And they bought enough time for Shady to show up as well. It misses the knockup, but the fact that he's there just makes it that much more difficult for Ocean to take the fight on their own. Tony even gets to teleport into the fight, just gets even more gold for that. So I think that this is one of those decisions where hearing the comms and hearing who made what calls is what the coaches are going to be really interested in, because those split-second decisions of what do you do? Do you stick around, go for the dragon after the kill onto Shady in the bottom side? Do you reset? Do you give it up and maybe go take Baron instead, or set that objective around and just say, all right, you can have one dragon here. It's not a big deal because it's only your first. So curious to see who on Team Ocean was thinking of guiding the whole team and being the shot caller in those tense moments.
Yeah, good work from Yumby there to just get a tower trade. Not really much else you can do when the enemy team has Baron. For the most part, Ocean are trying not to lose their inhibitor towers. They've already lost their mid tier 2 and their mid outer, and the bot tier 2 is looking like it's going to be the next one. True Shot Barrage is out. Shady perhaps looking for an engage angle there. There's plenty of ultimates to bear for both sides, but Infernal going to have to play this pretty slowly. Only a minute 30 left on this Baron buff. There's blue buff likely going to get stolen over here as well. Infernal just trying to split Ocean up for long enough time so they can split down these towers here. Again, this Baron's likely not going to end the game, but Infernal are looking to extend their lead.
I think they're going to get it too, because if I look at the itemization here that Ocean has gone for, usually when you're ahead is a good time to buy defensive. When you're behind, you want to buy damage. That way you can start killing the opponents from a item or a level deficit. And they're buying resistances right now. You see that the Lulu that rushed the Mikhail still doesn't have the Ardent Sensor when you have 2 auto attack champions. Same thing here with magic resistance being bought from the Ashe and whatnot, but a fight is breaking out.
Yeah, Tomio's got to get out of there. Shady also a little low. Yumby with the ulti, but it is going to be a miss. As Infernal do dash their way out of there. Good attempt from Ocean to delay the Baron push, but Infernal still going to finish off the bottom tier 2 as Tony Top is able to polish off the tower.
If you had a longsword or an Ardent Sensor there, in either Ashe or Lulu, would have gotten that kill on Shady, that is for sure. So hopefully this is something that evolves coming into next season, just seeing how itemization gets affected.
Oh, it'll change, Crumbs.
It's going to change. I mean, I'm easing myself into. Now, I saw the pool. I thought it was a little cold. I dipped my toes. I still have my feet there. I'm not plunged into it just yet. I just know there's a lot of new items.
Yeah, look, I haven't done nearly as much reading of actual books as I really should have been doing. You know, when I was a kid, I loved to read, and I'd read fairly large, long books. I'm just trying to ease myself back into reading, man, and that's not preseason's not the way. There's so much reading to do. It's like, I went to the store and was like, hey, can you offer me something light, maybe 100, 200 pages, really not looking for anything overwhelming. And they're like, I have it for you. Here's a recommendation. Ulysses by James Joyce. I'm like, that's not it. That's what I feel like happened when the preseason dropped them. All jokes aside, it's been really fun, but obviously not in this patch as we are sending off 10-2-2 in some ways here. But
not just reading pastry, math. Now it's major in reading, minor in math.
I definitely don't have a math minor, that's for sure. I leave that all up to Freak, who has done an excellent job, actually, covering preseason items. As a quick plug for Freak and his great YouTube content. Anyway, moving back into this game here. Pretty significant gold lead for Infernal, kind of at the end of all this play. So they didn't get the Ocean. Soul, they'll have a shot at the Elder in a minute 10. They did have the Baron, did lots of damage, but didn't manage to crack an inhib. We're really just resetting for this next team fight, which is in a minute 5 seconds around this Elder Dragon. Again, Infernal will be looking to try and pick a fight here, but I do worry that despite the item deficits earlier and the total gold deficit, the Ocean have enough tools, especially with the Soul, that any sort of 5v5 is going to be far too even for Infernal's liking.
If they play the 5v5, especially how they did it around that 4th dragon, they're totally going to win it. Just buy as much time as possible, let the Ocean Dragon regen you, and with the double shields of Orianna and Lulu, you should be able to actually play the fights out as slow as possible. Just take whatever ultimates you can get out of Infernal and hope that maybe one of them pulls the trigger too quickly, because they're not tanks. They're going to get blown up right away with either Shady or Tony Top engaging. They just have to keep in mind there's 2 stopwatches now, and the arrow goes out and TPs are happening. The fight is about to start.
Good dodge by Tomio, by the way. Just sidestepped the Ashe arrow that was incoming in a very narrow choke point. But control of the area has been gifted over to Infernal, and again, we talked about how frustrating it is to get through the Orianna and the Lulu and the Ashe poke. Well, the same is true for Zoe and Ezreal in particular. So, given that Infernal have initial control of this area, they will have the opportunity to start the Dragon if they want to, but it's certainly about luring the enemy in more than anything else. In fact, Ocean are just trying to ignore this and push down the lane instead, but Tomio has started the Dragon as Yeon's getting poked down as well. Copy also over the top. Ooh. Just going to miss that paddle star in onto the Ashe.
The control ward game is quite weak for both teams, so everyone knows where they're at, so they have such a hard time moving forward because there's basically no fog of war, and the poke from Copy is just buying them the entire Dragon. This Lulu cannot participate anymore.
Yep, Joey going to have to eat some honey fruit. Dragon already down to 3k health, and it's going to be way too late here for Ocean as the Elder Dragon is going to go over. Now Infernal can start a team fight, and indeed they will. Tony Top's charging in, ulti onto NXI. Going to try and make something happen. Wants to explode. Rodolph in the front side. See you later as the Elder Dragon laser is going to blast him down. Now Yeon low. A Shady might get an executing kill of himself. It's Shoyu actually that's going to go ahead and grab the double. Going to make it 3 here. No, it's the 3rd for Tony Top as Infernal grabbed 3 clean kills after that Dragon.
When you have the Dragon, all you have to do is just jump on the enemy. You know you're going to win it. The Elder Ray is so powerful. And to top things off, they saw that Yunbi had split from the team. They had an opportunity where Orianna wasn't there. The threat of the shockwave wouldn't be real, and now they're going to push to end the game.
Yeah, this could indeed be over. Yumbi going to try and defend as best he can. He's level 16. He's got his ulti. But he and NXI are going to have to defend this push. Great shockwave there. Chunky down Copy and Shady, but the tower's still under threat. Shady getting a little too low as Shoryu does blast down Yumby, who's going to have to go into the Zhonya's Hourglass. But Shoryu getting low himself, despite the Elder Dragon being a very big threat. NXI looking to finish off Shoryu, but not going to grab it. As Copy with a spare flash, going to help escort Shoryu out of there as the thumbs up is given. Here comes Rodov with a flank, and Shoryu's just going to have to dip on out. I think somebody's going to have to be sacrificed for Shoryu. I'm sorry, buddy. I think it's you. This is going to dance his way into the enemy AD carry, and in a 1v3, he will finally be shut down.
Ooh, the kill goes over to Ash, and Infernal took quite some time to reset Pastry. That means that Ocean can just go to the Baron. Any damage they suffered is going to be healed from the Ocean. They can tank this forever. Tomio doesn't have Flash if he even wants to steal. I think we just see Ocean by at least 5 more minutes into this game.
Yep, feels like this Baron is going to be theirs. There will be no contest for the objective, as that push did take so long for Infernal. So they'll reset, they'll have to kind of flush the super minions out of the mid lane, but that is the easiest wave to keep pushing, especially when you have the Baron behind you. So it is going to be a reset, I feel like, here, as they should be able to wait out the Baron buff and the Elder buff, which is expiring in 25 seconds.
That was the cost of going to end the game. When you make those calls, those Hail Marys where you commit everything, if you don't win it, well, the enemy has a big window for a counter response. Let's see what this teleport is all about, though, because Yunbi is all by himself, and the Ashe is resetting, and with a Baron, he really won't be able to hide his position for too long inside these lanes. So just trying to be the first one out for his team, as Vision is laid down from the Lulu, who only bought 1 control ward. Look at that. NXI buying 2 control wards and the support buying only 1. That's an honor for me after the game ends to the jungle.
Yeah, yep. I mean, you joke it. That is the kind of stuff the coaches look for, right? Buying control wards. It's like that's a very big part of like your muscle memory as a pro player. You go back and you get drilled into you that you need to be buying these awards, especially when it gets this late and you have to be fighting for these big objectives. Like the Elder Dragon that's going to be up in 3 minutes if we get there. Baron buff, though, still here for 1:45 on the Ocean side, so that is going to slap down the mid tier 2. NXI just getting crushed, but it's going to be the counter kill as Copy goes down to the Graves ult once again. And now it's Ocean's turn with a 5v4 threatening this middle inhibitor. Going to take down the tower nice and easily. What can Infernal do to stave off the assault, as the tower will fall down?
That was a really sick response there out of Ocean, not only with the shockwave, but NXI being so ready, and now they're going for more.
Ooh, Tomio into stasis because the arrow hit him off of the Ashe. Now Tony Top's going to try and run interference. Rodov going to get blasted to pieces. Shady with a big engage on the backside, finds 3 with the knock-up and charms up the rest for the follow-up, but just can't really stop the onslaught here as the shutdown's going to come through for Yumbi. They're going to crack the mid, and now it's their turn to try and end this game. Crumbs Ocean looking to hand Infernal their first loss of the week. They'll take down Nexus Tower #1. They're going to take down #2 as well, and Rodov going to dive in to buy the last few seconds that Ocean need to take down Nexus #1.
That was really good from Team Ocean. They took the momentum of almost losing the game, knew what Copy was up to in the way that he was playing his Zoe with the flanks, and just won right there. Baron and Ocean, from the very beginning, they set their eyes on the Dragon win condition. They played it out, got it. Barely, though. The fact that Renekton got that 4th Dragon steal made a big difference. But in the end, they actually start chipping away at the indestructible Infernal team.
Yeah, I thought we were going to talk about how Infernal won while almost ignoring Dragon Soul for the whole game, but unfortunately that was not the story. The Ocean still more than strong enough to take the win. But before we go to break, we have a replay presented by SoFi. Save, spend, earn, borrow, and invest all in one app. Let's check out Game 1's winning play. Yep, it's this one. Right at the end here, Ocean just found the pick they needed on the Copy, and the rest was nice and easy.
Great arrow there onto the Lilia. No Merc treads, easy target. Whether she stopwatches and dodges it, she's got no way out of there. And then what I love here is how the carries of Ocean just play to their range. You've got a lot of ranged champions. There's no need to get closer to Infernal as long as everybody's hitting their mark. And with the Ocean, they can bide their time, and it's just all too easy from this point onwards. Ezreal against the Baron might as well not have Mystic Shot enabled.
Yeah, again, a very close game. I think it's going to be a fun series that looks like it's going to be going the distance here, Crumbs. But Infernal finally getting handed a loss. And I think Ocean, again, continually impressed by their team play. That is a very difficult thing to build in a very short amount of time. And Ocean, especially with how strong their new Infernal would come out of the gates, which happened in the top lane and the jungle matchup. Great resilience and just a good overall game plan on the Ocean side.
Yeah, they really had it. I think the draft, too, from the very get-go, they knew what they were going for. They gave up the Lilia. Okay, doesn't matter. We're going to have our Ashe Graves Lulu core of just a lot of range, a lot of physical damage, and then with the Orianna to back you up, you have everything you need. It was all about Renekton surviving. He had a really hard time up there, but eventually made up for it. He had some very key stunts and that steal.
All right, well, game one of the Honda Scouting Grounds final is in the books, but don't go too far away. Freak and the Analyst will join you here after the quick break.